Within Trimble Connect, there are essentially 3 viewers for viewing the files, and depending on the file type will determine what viewer you're going to view your file and data in. If you're looking at a drawing file, in this case a DWG file, it's a CAD file, you kind of have the option to look at it in a 2D view, 3D view, or the CAD viewer. You can do that by selecting the checkbox and then choose which view you want to look at it. If you just pick on the drawing name, you'll see that it takes you right to the 2D viewer. If you're going to look at an image or a PDF or possibly a Word doc, other type of file, primarily going to look at that in a 2D view, and you're going to have certain tools that you can use for collaborating and marking up and sharing and communicating what you want done with that particular file. We're going to focus in this particular video on the 2D view, and then the following videos will dive deeper into a 3D view and the CAD viewer. So let's take a look at the 2D view of a CAD file. So I'm going to click on this converted CAD.dwg, and it's going to open up inside of the 2D viewer, as you can see here. Now we're going to go across and look at these different commands and show you how they work. The first one, you can see it defaults to a select tool. There's really nothing you can select in the 2D view because it's just really kind of an image. Now if you use the pan, or the hand lets you pan around. Now you'll notice that it's not letting me pan because I'm zoomed all the way out. You'll notice down here there's a zoom bar, and I can use the magnifying glass to left click and zoom in, and the minus to zoom out. Now once you zoom in, you'll see that the pan, if I hold my left mouse button down, I can go up and down. If I zoom in tighter, I can go up and down and left and right. Now if you pull this drop down, you can see that I can go back to fit the width or fit the page. I can also just go to a percentage, or I can use the marquee zoom and actually zoom in on a particular section of my project or drawing. Then I can collapse that view and that will go away. Right now you can see I'm still in a pan mode, so if I left click, it's actually going to zoom in again. And if I keep left clicking, it keeps zooming in tighter. So I just want to make sure that, maybe I zoom back out and I can use the pan. Oops. Let's try that one more time. Let's fit the window, do the marquee zoom, and we will just zoom into this upper area over here. So you want to be careful about clicking and take a look at what your cursor is showing. So if I go back to the selection mode, it's not going to let me pan and zoom. The next feature you see here are measurement options. It's a way that you can measure distance, area, and perimeter. Now because this is a page, you kind of have to calibrate your first measurement. So in my drawing I have some objects that have a distance or a dimension. So you can see over here I've got this 36 from, looks like back of curve to back of curve. I'm just going to pan that over a little bit so it gets to the center of my window here. And I can zoom in probably a little tighter in here so I can see what I'm looking at. So yeah, so 36 looks like it's face of curb to face of curb. So I can kind of see that in here. So I'm going to use the distance tool, and I'm just going to click at the end of that arrow for that dimension. So I'm going to get it by about approximately as close as I can. I'm left clicking, holding it down, and if you hold your shift key down, it'll actually lock it into a horizontal distance so that I'm not off. It will also just, you'll see if I get close, it's not locking it horizontally, right? So if I hold the shift key down, it keeps it horizontal, and I'm just going to come up to about that face of curve here and let go of your left mouse button. Now I'm going to go back to the selection option, and I'm going to select that dimension. over here there's a little window that says, you know, what the distance is. It's scale 1 to 1 and precision and distance here. The angle is 90. Now, if you click that, there's a little pop out here that you can change the color, you can delete it, or you can calibrate it. So I'm going to calibrate it, and I'm going to enter in that distance being 36. So if you had a scale bar on this drawing, you would use that as well. So now that it's 36, when I go and do another measurement, let's say that we choose this 34. So if I was to measure from what looks like this point here to the road, you can see that I'm going to get pretty close to that 34. All right, so not really precise, but I'm getting close. So it's 34. Now I can change the precision of that in the project settings. You can see here the distance, and if I click down, I can go to, you know, it's at 34 there. All right, so that just gives me an idea of what the, you know, the tool is. So now I can use the other tools, like for the area. Now that I'm there, I could come in and measure, let's say, the area of this, you know, concrete pad. So I'm just going to left click, and again, I'm just looking for rough data here, and I'm going to double left click at the end, and you can see that it's 671 square feet, and you know, my scale ratio is at about a 1 to, you know, 45, basically on the way this was brought in. So that gets me close, right? I could look at the, maybe check this on this building here. So I think my building has some square feet there. So if we use that tool on the building, again, it's kind of where you're picking too. So you want to be careful and get as close as possible. And I'm just kind of arbitrarily picking where these are. Okay, so now that's there, I can select that, and you can see that it's giving me, it's almost, yeah, almost 1,200 square feet is what that is. Now it all depends on where I pick, right? So if I kind of move this around a little bit, I can get that 1,200. So I'm just kind of really checking, you know, the dimensions in this case, so, and really showing you how to use these tools. The other one you can do is perimeter. So, you know, you can do the same thing if you wanted to know, like, for example, there's a construction fence. So if I wanted to know how far or how much construction fence I need, then I might come in here and say, okay, let's do the perimeter. And we're just going to click here. You know, maybe we're just going to wrap it around the site, putting in the construction fence, and I'm just quickly doing this. And now I've got that perimeter, and you can see the perimeter is about 1,000 feet. Okay. So those are the measurement tools. The next tool you have over here is just a drawing tool. So I can come in here and, you know, just do a circle. I can, you know, kind of just draw in. I can then use the cloud. So if I wanted to, you know, draw a cloud markup around here, I can do that. So I'm just left clicking where I want. There's a rectangle, an oval, or a polygon. So you can be a little bit more precise in your markups. And then you have other annotation tools. So I can use an arrow, a line, or a polyline. So I'm just going to use the beginning end of the arrow, right? So I can actually make it a little bit sharper. I can use a line or a polyline. And then you've got some text where you can just drop in free text. You've got some highlight text, some underline, strike through. So different, you know, text that that you can put in. So if I do the free text here, just draw a box and I can insert text. And then you can change the color. So you want to change the color before you do the markup. So if I wanted something to be in blue, I could put that text in blue. Now once you have everything marked up, you have this, which is adding a view. Now we haven't discussed views, but if I click on add a view, it's saving this view, and I can go back to that later. So I can say markups for editing. Give it a description, fix these items, and then you can share it with members, other users, or member groups. So when I click save, that's going to save it as a view. Now, I'll show you that in a minute, but if you go to views here, you can see it saved it as that view. So I can always come back to that particular view. So let's say that we selected, this markup, and I delete these objects. I can create another view and save it, but if you come back here and I click on that view, it's going to come back in with those that where I saved that particular view. So it's really saving it for me. All right. So now I'm back into this view that I saved. The to-do is another, it's creating an action item on this particular markup. And then you've got your page setting, so you can look at it a couple different ways. The other one is to show hide annotation, so I can turn off my markups and I can turn them back on. Okay. You can print this. You can download this. So when you download it, it's going to be a CAD file. Okay. And then you can share it. So here I can click on share. I can share it with certain members. And then you've got another option to save as a PDF. And then this just goes to a full view, kind of gets rid of your upper menu there. So those are the menus and the tools in the 2D view. Over to the left, you can look at the file details. You can look at the history of it, whatever edits were made. You can look at what pages. So here we only have the one page. There's an outline. In this case, there's no outline for this one. You got your to-dos and your views again, and then you can also search the document. So these tools over here would be if you had maybe like a Word doc or some other document that actually had physical text or information that you could search. Okay. So not too much in the 2D viewer, but it at least gives you the ability to open up drawings, view different documents, share and collaborate and communicate with your team members. In the following videos, we'll actually look at the 3D viewer, which gives us a little bit more marking options or markup options and viewing options. And then you got the CAD viewer, which gives you even more functionality as well when you're looking at CAD files. So you also want to look at what file types you want to look at and what ones you want to view and collaborate on, because that'll make a difference on whether you're using a 2D, 3D, or the CAD viewer. For example, if I go back to my Explorer and I go back to this folder, the VCL models are going to open up in a 3D view. The pipe networks, which are XML files, in this particular example, are going to open up in the 3D view. And we'll take a look at those in the next video.